Hey guys, it's Lisa. Welcome to Banning, Panning and Beyond and the Pan That Sign collab for August that I'm doing with Andrea from Pretty as a Peacock. So the zodiac sign for August was Leo, and I will pop up on the screen the actual color story that we were given to work with, and it'll also be in the thumbnail anyway. So now, for those who are new to this collab that I'm doing with Andrea, the idea behind it is that we are to use singles within our collections to try to build a palette that ties in with the color story that we're given. Now, it was created by some three ladies that are on Instagram, so all their details will be in the description box. And the whole point of the challenge is just to get more use out of your single pans in your collection. So Andrea basically talked me into doing the collab and I'm really grateful for her doing that, because I love the idea of panning, but I do get a bit overwhelmed. So this is my kind of panning project where it's not really about the panning, it's simply about getting more use out of your stuff. So Andrea and I decided to, where possible, to try and use singles that are common to both our collections. So we have sent each other lists and created a spreadsheet, like a combined spreadsheet that has all our singles on it. Recently, we have decided to try and incorporate our Super Shock shadows from Colourpop, just because they're a single that really I tend to overlook a lot, and I think Andrea does too. So that was something we kind of did just to try and fill a color story once, and then we're like, let's do this, let's try and incorporate them every month. So that's where we're at now. I have done swatches. The lighting here, because it's still winter, I'm not getting really good daylight, so unfortunately the swatches aren't that fabulous, but I will try to pop them in if I don't forget when I'm doing the editing. And yeah, so the challenge we set ourselves for this month was well, first I'll show you the palette that we created. So that is it, and hopefully I'll have the color story up on the screen. So as much as it doesn't necessarily, it's not a perfect match, the whole point of the color story that we get given is just to inspire us to what we should put together. And some of these shades may not particularly look like they match until they swatch. So but anyway, that is what we have created. Andrea's palette may not necessarily be in the same order, but each column will match. So I know that this column here, she will have these three shades, but maybe in a slightly different order, and the same goes right across. Now, the reason mine is varied from when we originally created it is because I decided to pull down the shades that I'm going to use for this particular video. So the challenge was that we had to choose a single from each column and make a look out of that, and then we had to also choose one Super Shock shadow. So we've got the 5 shades to work with, and I tell you, it was really difficult because there were multiple shades from each column that I wanted to use. So I went about it by trying to say, all right, which shade would I use for like a crease color? What would I use for my deepening shade, inner corner highlight? So I slowly worked my way through, but I have to say I've absolutely loved this color story, probably the most so far since we started this project back in January. Everybody knows that I love oranges and I love pinks, so you couldn't really get any better as far as my sort of color story. So so the shades that I picked, I've swatched here. So the first one here is a Luxie shadow. It's called Bubblegum, so that's that one there. The next one along is called Cygnus, and that's from Davina Cosmetics. Then we have a Sydney Grey shadow. It's called Orange Slush, so that's that one there. And then we have a Colourpop matte. It's the only matte that I have picked out, and that is called Bratty. And then this very last shade here was, so it's called 6 AM. It's the Super Shock Shadow there. So I'm just going to get into doing the look, and then I'm going to have the challenge of trying to pick out a lipstick, which is, yeah, always more challenging for me than probably the average person. So with that said, I'm just going to get into the look and let's see what we create. I will make sure I link Andrea's video in the description box as well, because I have absolutely no idea which shade she's going to choose from each column. All I know is that she's already messaged me this morning. She's already filmed her video, and she said she absolutely loved the look that she created. So yeah, here I go. Okay, so let's see how this all pulls together once I do a bit of blending. I probably actually should touch up here a bit because the shape doesn't quite look the same. So yeah, and then I'll pick a lippy out, do my liner, all the blah 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 stuff, and yeah, and I will be back with the finished look. And voila, here is the finished look. So the lighting's not so great, but you can, one thing I really love is this shift in the Looksy bubblegum shade. I've got that in my inner corner there and on this part of the lid, so you can see as I'm looking up that you can just see it shifting. Unfortunately, yeah, the lighting is not doing some of the shades justice, but I ended up going in just with my very soft pink Sephora lippy because I just thought the eye look was bold enough, and yeah, I think it turned out really pretty, so really happy with it. And it goes with my pretty pink flamingo earrings that were sent to me by Andrea. So yeah, overall I'm really happy with how the look turned out. And some of the looks that I've done with this palette this month I'm really happy with, but unfortunately some of them were done at like 5:30 in the morning, and the lighting was just, I know lighting, but yeah, unfortunately it makes a massive difference to how the looks turn out in photos and everything. So I will probably pop some of them up at the end of this video. If not, you can find them at some point in the near future. They'll be up on my Instagram account, so that's also, there's a link for that in my description box as well if you're interested enough to go and check that out. So keen to see what Andrea has done. Not so keen for next month's color story. Andrea sent me a photo the other day. I try not to look too far ahead and to stay focused on the current month. She is loving the color story, me not so much, so it's going to be a challenge, but you know, it's all just for the fun of it. So but yeah, I have to say I'm super pleased with this one. I might try and relocate. I think I'll relocate in front of natural light, even though it's not super strong, just to see if I can get that shift to show up a little bit more. So this is not the last you'll see of this look just yet. Okay, so here's the look in natural light. So definitely the pink from Davina is standing out a little bit more in this lighting. So I didn't actually run through what shades I put where. So you probably would have seen I did put this Colourpop matte. That was what I first laid down into my transition and crease area. And the outer corner I have used this orange metallic. Who was that from again? Oh, that was the Sydney Grace shade. So I've done sort of that outer part of the eye there, and then I've gone in with the Davina Cygnus shade for this part of the lid, and then I used Luxie bubblegum. You can see the shift in this lighting here. So I've used that in my inner corner and, like I said, on that part of the lid. And then the Super Shock shadow I ended up using just along that lower part of my lash line, and I also used the Colourpop Ready matte for the outer part of the lower lash line as well. So yeah, like I said, I'm really pleased with how this look turned out. I think definitely could have gone in with an orange lippy or maybe a hot pink, but yeah, I'm pleased just to go in with just a soft sort of pink and let the eyes stand out. So yeah, with that said, thank you for joining me. Thank you to Andrea for doing this collab with me, and I will see you all again soon. Bye.